implementing the Balanced Scorecard, intuitively understood that a strategy-based measurement system could solve the problem of how to communicate and implement strategy. As we observed executives using the Balanced Scorecard, we could see them develop a new system for managing strategy. We described the elements of this new system in another Harvard Business Review article and our first book, which consisted of two parts. Part 1 described the Balanced Scorecard as an enhanced performance measurement system, and Part 2 described how executives in early adopting companies had embedded the Balanced Scorecard into a new strategic performance management system. During the next 4 years, we tracked the performance of these adopting companies and a new set of companies, some that we had assisted in the implementation and others that had implemented on their own. We learned that these companies were achieving breakthrough performance, and in relatively short periods of time, within 2 to 3 years of launching their BSC projects and their organizational transformations. When we asked the executives about the role of the BSC in the remarkable transformations, they responded typically with 2 words: alignment and focus. The BSC had enabled them to align all their organizational resources, executive teams, business units, supporting groups, information technology, and employee recruiting and training, to focus intensively on implementing their strategies. We documented the experiences and practices of these companies in our second book, The Strategy-Focused Organization. This book expanded on the strategic management system we introduced in Part 2 of the Balanced Scorecard. It showed how successful adopters followed 5 management principles to become strategy-focused. Translate strategy to operational terms. Align the organization to the strategy. Make the strategy everyone's everyday job. Make strategy a continual process. Mobilize change through executive leadership. In addition to learning about the management principles to become strategy-focused, we also learned how to choose measurements that would be more meaningful to executives and employees. Our initial 1992 HBR article advocated using a broad set of measurements, organized by 4 perspectives, to improve performance. As we started to work with companies, we naturally had to address how to select the 20 to 30 measures in an organization's Balanced Scorecard. We soon realized that the measures should not be selected because they were already being used in the organization, or because they could drive local continuous improvements. Our second HBR article described how the measurements should focus on what is most important for the organization, its strategy. And because employees would pay much attention to the selected measures, we had to be careful that we were measuring the right things. As the saying goes, be careful what you wish for, you might get it. Measurement is a powerful motivator. Managers and employees strive to perform well on whatever measures get selected, particularly if the measures are tied to an incentive compensation plan. So before deciding what to measure, we had to ask executives what they were trying to accomplish. What were their objectives? This innocent question led to a seemingly small enhancement in our methodology that turned out to have far-reaching consequences. We learned to start each engagement by getting executives to agree on word statements of their objectives in the 4 BSC perspectives. Once the executives agreed to the word statements of what they wanted to accomplish, how they wanted to describe success, the selection of measurements became much simpler. And, in an interesting twist, the selection of measures became somewhat less consequential. After all, when agreement existed about the objective to be achieved, even if the initial measurements for the objective turned out to be less than perfect, the executives could easily modify the measurements for subsequent periods without having to redo their discussion about strategy. The objectives would likely remain the same, even as the measurements of the objectives evolved with experience and new data sources. The focus on objectives led to a breakthrough. Objectives should be linked in cause and effect relationships. Executives, as they listed objectives in the 4 perspectives, instinctively started to draw arrows to link the objectives. They could now articulate their strategy of how improving employee capabilities and skills in certain job positions, coupled with new technology, would enable a critical internal process to improve. The improved process would enhance